What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, or Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. This one's entitled Coddling Opioid Addicts. Probably and dealers. Because I remember making a video months ago, a while back, saying who's the face of heroin dealing. Nobody could answer that. So this is what I think about the whole situation. When it was black people, it was a problem. Now it's white people, they need help. So here's what I think about the coddling. First and foremost, the reason why it's called opioids is because one of the biggest drug dealers are your physicians. Because every and pharmaceutical companies and pharmacists, because if somebody getting 19 orders of opioids. You're not stupid, but you're getting paid just like the pharmaceutical companies getting paid, and it's just legal drug addiction because you got people buying heroin off the streets and you got people buying opioids out of your your local pharmacy. You know, you can't have both without participants. So that's what I think about that part. So because nobody wants to address that, the face of the opioid or heroin drug dealer is a doctor, a pharmacist, then probably a white drug dealer. So since you're going to identify who it is, you're going to make it get worse because you don't want to publicly target anybody because it's a white problem. So that's why I said, it's going to get worse. On top of that, you got these people addicted. You want to help them. You don't want to lock them up. Now it shouldn't be a crime. It should be a slap on the wrist. And the problem with that is this: um, white people already get slaps on the wrist for drugs. They was getting slaps on the wrist with the mandatory minimums. Remember, powder was different from crack. A pound was different from an ounce. Like the stuff they were doing was comparable. It was the same. So excuse me. So a lot of people got away with a lot of stuff because they was coddled during the mandatory minimum age. So now you're gonna coddle them again. That's how people wind up going to jail for not going to jail. They would say they were addicts and they would be a first time offender, and then you know and then they would have a million problems, and the judges and the juries and the police officers didn't see them as real threats, so everybody gave them a million shots. That's how you get these guys who have these super long rap sheets, but they still out on the streets on a regular basis. They wouldn't be true if they were black. That's how you got these guys who are felons who have all these high paying jobs, and they get to bring their bad behavior on their jobs. Nobody says anything. It's problematic. Um, so that's another issue that's gonna make it exponentially worse. Um, because you don't want to lock up your own the same way you lock up everybody else, which, by the way, I think, is gonna really expose police culture because with all these addicts and all these dealers who in some ways are gonna be living a world of high times or high violence, these officers are gonna get caught in these crossfires with these dealers. They gonna get caught in shootouts, but the dealers ain't gonna be black. So all this training that's necessary of seeing somebody as a threat, somebody gonna get hurt. And then the Blue Lives Matter flags won't be coming out because there won't be, black people involved in these shootings. But it's gonna create that entitlement that, I could do whatever I want. I won't get away with it. How dare you arrest me? I've done nothing wrong. Leave me alone. I'm gonna protect my rights while I'm committing crime. You're gonna have a lot of these people who are gonna be addicts who are gonna have their kids going back and forth because some of them are gonna temporarily lose custody because y'all gonna give them right back. They're gonna have to work for it, but y'all gonna give them right back. And a lot of this problem of the coddling is gonna be, I think, a lot of this drug dealing, drug use, when automation really kicks off and people start losing jobs and people start scrambling, you're gonna see the depression kick in, and people are gonna want to be violent, but then people are gonna get self-destructive, and you're gonna see a real boom in that. Just a real boom in that. So what then? Few people can answer that. That's why I said the face of crime is gonna have to change, but it won't. Now, I think another problem with all the coddling is gonna be, you're gonna see how these homes collapse over time because you're gonna see how it affects kids in school when they're teenagers, when they're in grade school, and they're gonna have issues, and you won't be able to deal with their issues. You won't be able to properly do your jobs as teachers and educators because there's gonna be too many kids with too many issues. And once you tell them, you're gonna start telling people to suck it up, and it's really gonna cause a big problem because that trickle down effect, what happens in one person's house is going to ultimately affect the school and the students and the staff, and everybody's going to want a helping hand, and too many people are going to fall through the cracks. Like the same issues that the mainstream America was so heartless about, you're going to be dealing with the same issues, the same very issues. And at that point, this is going to be one of those situations where you can't blame black people. And because you can't, you're going to figure out a way to do it for a while. But the truth is always going to be the truth. So, by the time you really want to take control of it, it might be too late. Because, everybody assumes that it's not a problem when it's a serious problem. Me personally, these type of societal problems are normal for black men to deal with. So I think mentally, the poverty, the crime, the dealing with adversity is really going to send mainstream America spiraling into a self-destructive downhill nosedive. And then and when that happens, they're gonna feel like they're too big to fail. If we fail, the whole country fails. But everybody in the country gonna be like, y'all. If we was on our own and we had to fix it, and it was because of your meddling, you gonna have to fix it because You falling because of your own meddling. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and it's gonna really expose the idea of pick yourself up by your bootstraps, because guess what? There are um, white people who believe all of the rhetoric for everybody, and not just um, everybody who's non-white. And those people are gonna have a real tough time, because you know they're gonna come under attack for saying, no, if it was good for the goose, it's good for the gander. But the rest of America is not cool with that, you know. So it's going to be a lot of separation. But hey, I'm gonna just watch the fallout. Whatever. That's my 2 cents. I'm out.